Here's your First Warn Weather forecast first, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
Scattered thunderstorms beginning to increase a bit in coverage here across the state line, primarily still to the south and west of Rockford. We did briefly have a severe thunderstorm warning that has since been dropped, but a few of these storms may be capable of producing 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, including this one in eastern Iowa and another one into southern DeKalb County, now moving into Kane County. Temperature-wise, we're still sitting in the upper 80s for many of us, and even at the 90-degree mark now in Rockford. That heat and humidity helping to produce some of those thunderstorms, the coverage of which likely decreases a little bit once the sun sets. But we'll see another round of some storms along a cold front tomorrow evening. I'll time those out for you coming up in your most trusted forecast a little later.
The conflict between Israel and Iran felt here in the state line. The concerns one Iranian native has about the war in his home country.
Plus, the Rock County Medical Examiner identifies another person killed in that murder-suicide in Janesville, the fourth person to die in that domestic incident.
And Rockford University's athletic program gets a boost to the upgrade coming to the school's football field.
Live from WTVO 17. This is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here. Tonight, a ceasefire has brought a temporary halt to the war between Iran and Israel, but tensions are still high, and those with ties in Rockford are sharing their thoughts to Eyewitness News tonight.
Eyewitness News reporter Blake Dietz sat down with local members of the Iranian and Jewish communities, and Blake, there's worry on both sides.
Yeah, there's worry and calls for peace, and those I spoke with say it's hard to think about the safety of those abroad and that the ceasefire is just really a small relief right now. Jamil Khamisi keeps an eye on Iranian news. It's something that has become more frequent since the war with Israel began. Khamisi was born in Iran. He moved to America in 1998, eventually finding work as a mechanic. Now, he still has family in Iran and says the leadership of the country worries him every day, and that most in Iran are calling for peace.
We see blood everywhere in Iran, really bad.
So yeah, people just want peace, right?
We want peace. Iranian people is peaceful and very friendly people and kind. This regime they fight, not the people. People have no problem with the war. They want a peace in the world.
I'll have more from Jewish community leaders about how those with connections to Israel are feeling coming up in the full story at 6. Wendell.
Thank you very much, Blake. Tonight at 5, we have the name of the fourth person who was killed or died in that murder-suicide in Janesville.
The Rock County Medical Examiner has identified her as 21-year-old Haley Lounsbury. On June 17th, police responded to the Aspen Square apartments. That's where they found 4 adults with gunshot wounds. Julia Vicker, Jarvius Wicks, and Scott Roberts were all pronounced dead at the scene. Lounsbury was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Janesville police say she died Monday. Investigators determined one person shot the other 3 before taking their own life. Police in Rockford are investigating an overnight shooting on the city's east side. According to 911 call logs, police responded to Forest View Road and Waukegan Drive just before 3:20 this morning. A man was found with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds and taken to the hospital. No suspects or arrests have been announced. If you have any information, contact Rockford Police or Crime Stoppers.
An Illinois state rep has announced his intention to seek re-election. Eyewitness News is your local election headquarters. State Representative John Cabello confirmed today he will be running in the 2026 Illinois election. The Republican represents Illinois' 90th district, which includes Machesney Park and parts of the Rockford area. He's also served as an assistant minority leader to House Republican leader Tony McComey, who announced earlier this week she would also be seeking re-election.
Congress is considering legislation that would block states' ability to regulate artificial intelligence for the foreseeable future. The federal spending plan, also called the One Big Beautiful Bill, includes a 10-year ban on any state-level regulations. During this most recent legislative session in Springfield, Illinois lawmakers passed legislation relating to AI. State Representative Bob Morgan passed a bill to the governor's desk that would ban AI therapists. He believes cautions around AI shouldn't be partisan.
and the way that AI is maturing and evolving in the matter of weeks versus years, I think that should alarm everybody, regardless of their political persuasion. So I still think that this provision will be changed. We'll see what the United States Congress ends up doing on this issue.
The big, beautiful bill passed with the AI regulation bans in the U.S. House, but some Republicans voiced concerns about that after the vote. The new version's expected to get a vote in the Senate before the 4th of July.
Rockford University tonight broke ground on a major campus athletic project.
1, 2, 3.
The project is a multi-purpose turf athletic field. Funding for the field came from a grant from the Illinois Board of Higher Education. University is the only school in its athletic conference not to have a turf football and soccer field. Dr. Patricia Lynott, RU's president, says this addition speaks to the future of the school and the community.
I think anytime you improve major facilities at organizations like ours, an organization that is deeply connected to this community, it always speaks about progress. And I think that's what this signals also, is the progress and how this university is moving forward.
RU also recently used grant funds to fund construction on the school's new baseball and softball fields.
The Rockford School District works to fill dozens of vacant positions before kids return to class this fall. RPS 205 held its annual hiring fair at East High School today. They're looking for people to fill positions across all departments, from teachers and cafeteria workers to nurses and bus drivers. One organizer says turnout was higher than expected this year.
So this year it appears that we've got a lot more people that have showed up, possibly due to advertising and that, but ultimately we're at a point in the year where everyone's looking for work. We're looking for new hires, and we want everything kind of taken care of before we head into the new school year.
If you missed today's hiring fair, you can find a list of job openings on the RPS website.
Ham radio is not the first form of communication typically in an emergency. However, when power and cell towers are not working, ham radio is an efficient way to communicate. So Field Day is coming up for ham radio or AM operators. It is a nationwide test of this radio communication system, and it will be happening this weekend. We talked with Kevin Puckett of the Rockford Amateur Radio Association about why this system is so valuable in emergencies.
So our systems work because a lot of the ham radio people are equipped to have secondary and backup power systems to be able to utilize where you get somebody that's using a radio that was provided to them. If it breaks or goes down, they don't know what to do with it.
Field Day will be this weekend at the YMCA Camp Winnebago from 1 p.m. Saturday to 1 p.m. Sunday. For more information, find this story on our website, mystateline.com.
Coming up, Rockford's now home to the first of an alternative living community in the state.
An inside look at how the Hope House will help teenagers in the state line.
And tonight at 6, summer's arrived, and that means more risk of sunburn. Health experts on how you can protect yourself.
A very summer-like day today with heat and humidity, as well as those scattered thunderstorm chances. I'll time those out for the rest of the evening and look at some of the strongest storms coming up in just a few minutes.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Sports Director Scott Leber, and meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
An innovative family home alternative is getting ready to open. They held a ribbon cutting earlier today.
Eyewitness reporter Tyler Sorensen was there at the Hope House. Tyler, what is this?
Well, Mimi, Wendell, the Hope House is the first of its kind in Rockford, and its name is significant because it's providing hope for foster teens in the community.
2, 3.
A house to help those who need it most, teens who are struggling and need a place to call home.
House is a foster home, or what we call a family home. But the difference between what we're doing and what is traditionally done is we have a lot of wraparound supports around the foster homes.
At the Hope House, leaders will provide stability, therapy, and growth to teens in foster care, all right under one roof.
Our job during that time, 13 to 17, really is to prepare them to launch them into being an adult. So once they become 18, they'll go into, they'll have a variety of options at that point, but we will have stabilize them and help them to be able to be prepared for that next step.
The house will have 4 to 5 teens, including a foster parent, but the real goal is to make it all have the aspects of a true home.
You can imagine kids coming home from school and being able to drop off their backpack, get a snack, do their homework. It really is, for us, the vision of what we want to see for kids who can't go to a family home. Really, this is the model that we have a lot of faith and hope in.
Hope in the home and in the community as well.
This is a community home. And so we do that so that we are embedded in the community. We go where the need is. There was a need here.
Helping and growing the teenagers, as well as preparing them for adulthood, giving them all the hope they can get. Now, organizers say they are already planning to expand with the goal to have this model be more widespread throughout the state. Mimi or Wendell?
Great story. Thank you, Tyler. It remains hot in the state line. I'm loving it. We could see some scattered showers, though.
When we come back, Jordan tells us whether any of those could be severe. That's coming up in his forecast next.
Now, your First Warn weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Thunderstorms are beginning to increase in coverage, primarily down to the south of Rockford and out to the west as well, where we even have a few strong to severe thunderstorms that have been developing. Overall coverage, not all that great. You see many spots hit or miss with some of those thunderstorms. The best chance for any right now down to the south and to the southwest, where we find even a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. That's out for portions of Carroll and Whiteside counties. This storm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as it moves off to the northeast at around 35 miles per hour. That warning will run until 5:30 here this evening. Well, you see the outflow of some of these storms indicating that they are primarily going to be producing some damaging wind gusts, not so much in the way of any hail or any tornado threat. With many of the storms we had this evening, heavy rain and those damaging winds going to be the main concern if any of those storms were to turn severe, like the one that we have down to the south and to the southwest. We look with our Mercy Health Skytrack camera in downtown Rockford on the Supply Corps building. That's brought to us by Window World. We're looking off to the south, and you see a few of those clouds that have been developing, starting to see those taller updrafts begin to work their way in, and that's what we're really going to have. The highest coverage likely staying, for the most part, south of Rockford, although Futurecast depicting pretty well the hit or miss nature of many of these storms here for the next several hours. Could see a few spots here in Rockford if those storms that are currently down to the southwest were to maintain their strength. Could approach the area within the next 2 hours or so, but generally speaking, many spots will continue to remain very isolated in nature of some of those scattered showers. We'll likely see at least a slight downturn in some of that coverage as we head beyond the sunset hours tonight, likely seeing some spots staying dry, at least for maybe a few hours. But then as we head toward midnight, maybe another window where we could see some showers and storms roll back in a more scattered form. That would likely not bring much in the way of widespread severe weather, as really is the case for much of the area here during the afternoon. Any storms that would form severe weather would likely be primarily for those damaging wind gusts, and that's why we have a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe weather area-wide. The highest coverage of any of the stronger storms likely remains off to the north and to the northwest, where that slight risk is out for portions of Iowa and into Wisconsin as well as Minnesota. Locally, temperatures still very warm, sitting in the low 90s even in Rockford, 90 degrees even, 82 in Rochelle, some rain, cool air there, 87 in Woodstock, 89 in Freeport, 85 out in Dixon. A few of our weather watchers also reporting some warm temperatures. Weather watcher Gene in DeKalb, 86. 64% the humidity, wind only 8 miles per hour. Meanwhile, Terry and Genoa, 91. 105 is what it feels like when you factor in that heat index. A south wind of around 5 miles per hour. Through the rest of the evening tonight, likely still holding on to some of that humidity, only down to 71 with the chance for some of those scattered showers and even a few storms, especially right around midnight. 91 for tomorrow, remaining hot and breezy, and our next chance for storms arriving into the evening along a cold front. I think most of the daytime hours on Thursday could end up staying dry, sort of how we started the day today, but we see that cold front starting to produce some of those showers off to our north and to our northwest, likely the highest coverage which would arrive after 6, 7, or 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. Again, the highest concern with any of those stronger storms would be likely in the form of some damaging wind gusts, another level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe weather. That cold front also drops our temperature from 91 Thursday to 84 on Friday, but back into the low 90s and upper 80s as we head into the weekend. Much of the weekend could end up staying dry again, still holding on to that isolated chance. Highest coverage would then arrive as we head into Sunday and going into the early part of Monday.
Thank you, Jordan.
Drew Collins is in next with sports.
Rockford's own Fred Van Fleet has agreed to a contract extension. The details are up next.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
Rockford's own Fred Van Fleet cashed in on another payday. Van Fleet has agreed to a 2-year extension with the Houston Rockets, and this time around he has Kevin Durant as his teammate. Van Fleet's future was in the air heading into this offseason with a $45 million team option. The Rockets declined that option but agreed on a 2-year extension worth $50 million. On top of that, Fred will have a player option in the 3rd year if he wants to stay in Houston through 2027. Fred has averaged over 15 points and 6 assists a game as a Houston Rocket. Yesterday, Belvedere North's Ben Booker committed to play at a Division I school, and his choice was the Air Force Academy. This decision felt like the right pick for Booker, considering his style of play. Today, I sat down with him to learn more about his decision. Thirsty to score touchdowns and make game-changing plays is Belvedere North's Ben Booker. The Blue Thunder have been no short of talent over the years, but this year they have incoming senior Ben Booker leading the way. Booker is taking his talents to the Air Force Academy, where he believes his talents align with the best.
I mean, talking with the coaches there, they're going through the plays with me, and it's just, I knew a lot of the stuff. I mean, it was almost like second nature to me, and it just seemed like a great fit. I think I would have a lot of success in their offense.
Booker has been a dominant force with the Blue Thunder for years, both on the offense and defense. He has made a ton of plays on both sides of the ball, especially when he hits the open green. B North runs a similar offense to the program at Air Force, and Booker believes this overlapping will help his game translate at the next level.
And you were telling me how you were going through the playbook and it seemed like things were aligning, so kind of walk me through how cool that was.
No, yeah, like the coach was talking to me about kind of what they say, like little twists they added, and we have very similar things. Like we call some of our plays similar stuff, or like we have the same kind of scheme on stuff, and it just all kind of like coordinates together.
Piecing together the perfect senior season would be ideal for Ben. He still has 1 season left before he heads to college, and he still has plenty of goals for his senior season.
Winning conference is definitely a goal, and I think that's very, very doable. And I mean, some other personal goals for me, not just our team, would maybe be winning conference MVP or rushing for 1,000 yards. Knowing that there's not a ton of Division I football players that come out of here, I mean, it obviously feels great, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do it and represent our area.
That's sports. We'll be right back.
Scattered thunderstorms continue this evening on the First Warn Interactive Radar from Rockford Glass and More, the strongest of which could be capable of producing wind gusts of around 50 to 60 miles per hour. A couple severe thunderstorm warnings that are now out for portions of Carroll and Whiteside counties until 6:15. Our next round of storms arrive tomorrow evening along a cold front. That's our most widespread coverage. A little bit of a downtrend, though, heading into the weekend.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks for watching. See you at 6.